you'll be able to see a screen in front of you where there are certain questions.
Yes, sir, it is visible. Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you. Thank you, Munif sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Sorry, my screen is hung. Just give me a second.
No problem, sir. Kushal, sir, this one we did it last time. We submitted this. So do we need to do it again?
So Rahul, if you can help with that.
Ma'am, those were different questions. Those were questions about the overall program. That was a pre-test. And this is a poll regarding the last session which you had attended.
No, this I remember, sir. I did it. I don't know why. This is the same.
Yes, ma'am. This is more or less the same questions, but since everybody had not submitted it and also there was a glitch for us to see the responses, we have kind of we requested you to fill it again, if you may, please.
So those who have done again, do we need to do it again?
Yeah, it will be just, you just have to click on yes or no. It's showing on your screen. So if you can please click on yes or no, whatever option you want to pick.
Okay.
Sorry, my screen is hung. I hope my voice is audible. Just give me a minute.
Okay, ma'am.
Hello.
Participants who are joining, there might be a poll in front of you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, so please help us fill the questions.
So if I may just intervene here, I hope everyone who is logged in are able to see the questions in front of them. So if we want to kind of go one by one, let's see the first question. The first question is, program content was helpful in increasing my knowledge. So if you want to say yes or no, you might have to you might get the options. Please click on yes or no. Kushal, do you want to kind of translate it in Gujarati or Hindi as per the requirement?
Okay, so I guess Kushal is having some technical glitch. I'll just repeat the questions for all. So the first question is, the program content was helpful in increasing my knowledge. So last जो session था Google Forms के ऊपर, वो उसमें जो content था, जो information दी थी, वो helpful थी knowledge के हमारे knowledge को increase करने के लिए. That is the first question. Yes, if it was helpful. No, if it was not helpful. Second, inputs from the subject matter expert were useful and usable. So जो information दी गई थी Google Forms के बारे में और inputs जो दी गए थे about the entire किस तरीके से यूज कर सकते हैं, क्लास में कैसे यूज होता है, so उसके inputs were useful and क्लास में हम यूज कर पाए. Yes or no. Third question is, did you present a case? आपके तरफ से कोई case जो Zoom पे in the session present किया गया था, उसका yes and no. Fourth question है, on a scale of 1 to 5, how would you rate the value of the discussion or input that occurred? So आपको अगर 1 से 5 में कोई रेटिंग देनी है वो सेशन के लिए, वो डिस्कशन के लिए, उसके लिए आप 1 यानी लोवेस्ट पॉइंट सबसे कम एंड 5 यानी हाईएस्ट पॉइंट, सबसे ज्यादा आप क्या रेटिंग दोगे उसके लिए. एंड लास्ट क्वेश्चन, ऑन स्केल ऑफ 1 to 10 हाउ लाइकली आर यू टू रिकमेंड दिस प्रोग्राम टू अ फ्रेंड और कलीग. सो भी 1 से 10 के स्केल पे अगर आपको ये किसी और को बताना हो ये प्रोग्राम में क्या हो रहा है, क्या चीजें हो रही है, आप क्या सीख रहे हो. सो 1 लोवेस्ट पॉइंट, 10 हाईएस्ट पॉइंट, किसी और को रिकमेंड करोगे. तो टीचर्स आपके सामने पोल दिखाई दे रहा होगा. सो इफ एनीबडी कुड शेयर, इफ यू कुड रिस्पॉन्ड टू इट, उस पे आप ऑप्शंस पे टिक करके नीचे सबमिट कर पाए. दिव्या मैम, पारुल मैम, अगर आप सिर्फ शेयर कर पाओ कि आपके स्क्रीन पे क्वेश्चन दिख रहे हैं. वी कैन सी कि एक टीचर ने रिस्पॉन्ड किया है, सबमिट किया है. ग्रेट मैम. तो भी काफी सारे टीचर्स रिस्पॉन्ड करने लगे हैं. वील वेट फॉर अ फ्यू मोर टीचर्स टू रिस्पॉन्ड. आपने अगर सबमिट कर दिया हो तो आप चैट बॉक्स पे आके लिख सकते हो कि आपने सबमिट कर दिया है. मे बी जस्ट अ थम्स अप. यस मैम, आई
have submitted. Thank you, ma'am.
इतना बड़ा सा सुंदर सा केक मेरी तरफ से नहीं है, ये केक है हमारी प्यारी नैना दीदी की तरफ से.
Great. So 10 teachers have responded. We'll wait for few more teachers. Nisha ma'am is saying my poll is not getting clicked. So ma'am, after you select the options, 5 questions है, 5 questions के end में नीचे submit का एक बटन होगा. आप scroll down नीचे कर सकते हो.
मैम एक्चुअली ये जो लिंक है वो हमारे स्क्रीन में ही नहीं आ रहा है, तो हम क्लिक कैसे करें उसे?
तो मैम राहुल, इफ यू कैन हेल्प ओवर हियर, आपको लिंक नहीं दिखाई देगा. आपको
मतलब पोल है ना, जो ऊपर पोल इन प्रोग्रेस आता है ना, वो पोल इन प्रोग्रेस यहाँ दिख ही नहीं रहा है मैम.
Ma'am, just click that poll in progress. You will get.
Ma'am, it is not green in color and it is not clicking.
Okay. Try it again.
Okay, ma'am.
So a lot of teachers have submitted. We'll wait for a few more. And thank you for all the teachers जिन्होंने chat box पे respond किया है कि आपने submit कर दिया है. Thank you for updating. We'll wait for 1 minute more before we start with the session. Rahul, do we need to wait for more teachers to respond?
I think we should start the session. We can end the poll now.
Thank you for all the teachers who have responded. Okay, so before we start with the presentation, आप chat box पे लिख सकते हो आज कौन से tool के बारे में discussion होने वाला है. waiting for responses on the chat box. हमने last time Google Forms के बारे में बात की थी. Yes, thank you Lavina ma'am. And a lot of more responses. Yes, आज हम Google Slides के बारे में बात करेंगे. Great. So, welcome to the second session and the second tool. And some basic things around programs के अंदर क्या चीजें हैं. And what we will look forward for today in the session as well. The entire 6-week program is around digital tools awareness, जो हम classes में online class बच्चों के साथ school में use कर सकते हैं. So there is awareness जिसमें हम अलग-अलग tools के बारे में बात करेंगे. And at the same time, there is school support as well, जिसमें school में क्या problems face हो रही है, उसके around case discussion होगा, case presentation होगा, and problems के around जो particular tools है जो हम school पे use कर रहे हैं, उसके recommendations के around कि हम क्या suggestions maybe from one school to another, और maybe हमारे कुछ suggestions है कि ये दिक्कत इस तरीके से solve हो सकती है जो previous school में हुई हो, और some support from our end as well. So this is all about the program that we all are here for. आज के session इस तरीके का कुछ दिखेगा. After we have a Google Slides presentation, एक school का एक case presentation होगा जिसमें हम Google Slides उन्होंने जब use किया क्या दिक्कतें face हुई उसके around बात होगी. So yes, let's begin with the session. आज second session है for Google Slides, and आज के session में participants will be aware of two things. One, the features of Google Slides, basic features से advanced features, and pedagogy कि हम class में जब Google Slides को use कर सकते हैं online class में, तो उसमें क्या relevant teaching learning examples है कि किस तरीके से कहाँ पे हम as teachers, as educators school में से use कर सकते हैं. Kushal, do you want to take it from here?
Yes, I will. You can have the slides on. Please help me navigate it. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, great. So thank you, teacher. Sorry, there was a small technical glitch at my end. So great. So today's topic on Google Slide, basically the idea of Google Slide is like the ideas that we have for our students, the concepts, the teaching concepts basically which we have. How can we make it more visual and with the support of images, and how can we have it with the support of videos? So that's where Google Slide largely helps us visualize the information so that children can process at their own pace. Yes, Stephanie, next one. So this is one example of, say, to start with the whole session, this is one small example where a grade 3 EVS topic, where a teacher wants to teach about animals who are there on land, water, and sky. So a normal practice could be just writing it down in a virtual environment so that the children can see and learn it. क्योंकि ये सारे animals अलग-अलग तरह के animals है, कुछ land animals, कुछ water animals, कुछ sky में होने वाले animals है. फिर उनके नाम लिख दिए, eagle, parrot, and sparrow. But we will see in a minute in the next slide, Steffi, how teacher would have represented it with the help of pictures. So now as we see here, there are again what the teacher has done basically there. She has bucketed it into sky, water, and land on different sides of the slide. And Steffi will have one click. So we see there's an animal, elephant. Where does that animal go? Like, so that's basically on the land. So if someone can unmute and hold on, Steffi, one by one, once again. So someone can unmute and say who's the next animal right before, after the elephant. There's a bird right after the elephant. Which is that bird name?
Above elephant is parrot.
Sparrow. Okay, so sparrow, right? So if you can click now. So the moment the child says sparrow, then the sparrow moves, the sparrow flies in the sky, so it's there. Next is fish. Where does the fish go?
Water.
Water. Okay. So it immediately moves towards water, right? Then Steffi, next one. Dog. Dog goes towards land. And similarly like that, other animals can move towards respective segments where basically they belong to. So the idea of this is when the pictures start moving differently, the child starts processing one by one, like the whole thing, rather than just listening to something the teacher is saying. So we'll see how some of these things happen and take place. We'll definitely talk more than this, but this was just one example of how information can be made visual for children. Yes, Stephanie. So we see something that you can put in a Google slide is image, right? And there are 6 different ways in which image can be put. Image can be put by uploading from computer. Image can be put by searching on the web right inside the Google slide. If you have the images in your Google Drive, you can put it there. If you have images in your Google Photos where you would have taken somewhere in the past, you can put it from there. If there is a particular image URL, you can put it up an image through that, or you can simply click if you want your image to be there in some way or certain thing live, you can have it through camera. So these are some of the ways in which you can have the image. One other way is if that's there in your desktop or somewhere open, you just want to copy paste from a browser, similar to copy paste from your drive, similar to upload from computer, you can do that as well. Apart from image, you see video. So there is a video which is embedded now in the Google slide. So you don't need to go on YouTube, search the video or keep the video open. You can immediately from this Google slide itself, there is an option called video. In there, video, you can search the video on the YouTube and you can input that. Steffi, would you like to play that once, please? Thank you, Steffi. So the idea of this is if we want to show children certain things, how an experiment looks like in higher grades, also in different subjects, then we can show it right here then, so that we don't have to minimize this, go to another browser and take that. Sorry. Okay, so Steffi, next one. So next we will see diagrams. So basically the idea of this image and video is how it leads to engagement, and then the diagrams. So diagrams basically is there are different things which are embedded inside Google Slides. So if you want to construct diagrammatic representation of a grid in terms of hierarchy, timelines in terms of history, process in terms of any scientific concept, relationship between two concepts, or a process cycle. So that's how it is. And the idea of this is it helps teacher to focus on content rather than design. So as a teacher, we always know the content very well. These designs help us to simplify those content, make it more visual. And it also helps children to build connections. So when concepts are represented in a diagrammatic form, it will help children build connections for that concept rather than letting them just listen from us what that concept is about or just reading it from a book. Yes, Steffi. So we'll quickly see one example of how a teacher has done. So how does a life of a child evolve from schooling to adult, right? Basically all the stages of schooling and college. That's what a teacher wanted to explain. So that's how the teacher has taken up this particular example with the help of the timeline cycle and shown how this can happen. You can of course choose any color coding. You can resize them. Customizing is fully possible in those. Those are just standard templates given. Like any other templates, you can customize those templates as well. Yes, Steffi, next one. So inside Google Slide, there is a particular section when you go to File and you will see the new where you have to open a particular presentation. Then there's an option of template as well. And next. So as you see, there are different sorts of templates which are available. Whether you want students to help them to write a report, design certain projects, or even you want to design a student certificate for your classroom or for your school, you can do that. And of course, there are different other templates which once you go, and that's possible as well. Again, the idea of these given templates is that we don't have to worry about just getting used to a technology. There are ready things out there. If we are new to it, we can simply take them and start designing it, and we see how our content looks in it. Yes, thank you. So next, one of the feature in this is inserting a link, a web link, right? So say there's an article that you want to talk about in the classroom regarding anything, it could be any subject. Then we could talk about those articles and brainstorm it like this. But the idea is when we have to share where this article came from. So there is a link which is embedded in this. So Steffi, if you hover around this article, so if you see, when Steffi hovers around the article link, there is a hand signal that comes in the article link. So that means the link is embedded in this. The idea of this embedding, and Steffi, if you would get the next one. Yeah. So the idea when you so there's a particular option called insert link in the menu in the toolbar. When you click on the insert link, you will be able to embed. You have to select this particular line which is written in a text box, and then you can put it up the link in it. The idea is it helps children to refer to it later. Right now, what we do is if we are seeing a YouTube link, if we are seeing an article link, we will be sending all of them separately in a WhatsApp group. So instead of the presentation separately, the links separately, this all can be embedded into one document and kept it as a ready resource so that children can refer to them at their own pace in detail. Yes, Steffi, next one. This is another great feature about language and working offline. So languages, when you go to the file, there's an option of language at the bottom, as you can see. With this, in this Google slide, you can write in multiple language also. It's not like you have to write only in English or something. The Google slide and such Google documents allow us to write in multiple languages. So when you select a particular language, like in this, I have selected Hindi. So in my toolbar, you will be able to see there's a language support function that comes. We can customize any information for children or parents, particularly if it's an administrator, then I can have school notices typed in this particular school invitations typed in other languages also, which can help parents. But if we want children's parent to help them, particularly in their homework or understanding certain things, then besides the English thing, we can also type certain things in brackets or something in the regional language of the child. Yeah. The offline function, as you see here, it says make available offline. Offline का मतलब है कि जब हम लोग normally use करते हैं अपने phone से, अगर हमने एक बार इसको desktop से design कर दिया, हमारे phone में अगर internet नहीं भी है, तो भी हम इसको open करके use कर सकते हैं. और हम इसको अपने phone से अगर या किसी जगह से edit भी करना चाहे किसी जगह से, तो हम इसको offline edit भी कर सकते हैं. जैसे ही हमारा internet catch करता है, ये automatically synchronize होके online हो जाएगा document. So this all Google documents you can mostly Google these tools you can mostly use as online, and there is an offline function as well. It's a great function if अगर आपके phone का network often drop करता है तो. Yes, Steffi. One of the last function here is about sharing. So the whole theme and whole principle of Google is around collaboration. How do they make cross-border collaboration possible? And इस केस में हम लोग कैसे शेयर करके इस फाइल को सामने वाले का ईमेल आईडी टाइप कर सकते हैं, जिनका भी ईमेल आईडी हम टाइप करते हैं उनके साथ ये शेयर हो सकता है, एंड देन उनको हम डिफरेंट तरह के परमिशंस दे सकते हैं. वी कैन गिव देम व्यूइंग परमिशंस कि वो देखना चाहते हैं, हम चाहते हैं कि खाली वो देखें, हम चाहते हैं कि वो कमेंट कर सके हमारे वर्क पर, तो हम कमेंट के परमिशंस दे सकते हैं. हम उनको एडिटिंग परमिशंस भी दे सकते हैं कि मैंने आपसे ये फाइल शेयर की है, कि आप उसमें अगर आपको सही नहीं लग रहा है तो आप एडिट करके फीडबैक दे सकते हो. The idea is it allows for collaborations between teacher and a teacher. It allows collaboration between teacher and a student, and also allows collaboration between student and a student. अगर किसी का email ID नहीं है, then also at the last where you see get link, जहाँ लिखा है left side में, get link में भी change करके हम without email ID भी किसी को edit करने का दे सकते हैं. We understand कि lot of our students don't have emails. So in that case, we can give them permissions without their emails also. Right? Yes. Great. So we saw how particularly a couple of features we saw about image and video. One of the pedagogical aspect of that is how visual representation can be possible of teaching content, right? And how it can help children to process information at their own pace. rather than constantly listening to certain things. Another is about diagram, which helps to build connection between content that is being taught and helps children to build connections in that. Insert link, basically it's a referencing of a source and help learner to refer the details at their own pace. Language and working offline, so it's basically a language learning function where with the parent, with the child, we can help them support in their home language. And lastly, sharing the file largely for collaboration between teacher and student and teacher in any way. So that's how Google Slides can be maximized. And again, of course, because we only have a 20-minute thing, 15 to 20 minutes thing that we have, hence we have discussed very limited features. But of course, these are some of the things which are basics also, right from image and video to high end about towards advanced like collaboration and language support as well. So that's how these features can be maximized while using Google Slide. So I would halt here to see if any questions coming before we move to the case, before we move to the challenges that some of you shared in the earlier ones and which we have pulled out from your earlier dialogue. कोई questions आपके mind में आ रहे हैं Google Slide को देखते हुए? तो please unmute करके पूछ सकते हैं.
So we can do the animation in the Google Slides, sir?
Yes, Simi ma'am, animations are completely possible in Google Slides.
Thank you, sir.
And animations में भी बहुत सारे options है Google Slide के अंदर. जैसा आपने हमारा जो animation starting की slide में basically देखा, that was all about there is a particular function of disappear. So जब एक चीज आती है तो दूसरी चीज कैसे चली जाती है? कई चीजें fading होके आती है, कई चीजें left, right side किसी भी अलग जगह से आ सकती है, depending on how you want to relate it to your concept. तो जैसे आप अपने concept से relate करना चाहते हैं, वैसे animations को design किए जा सकते हैं.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, welcome. Great question that is. Thank you. Any other questions anyone is running on your mind? Google Slides के around कुछ questions run कर रहे हो? किसी ने अगर Google Slides, can we make PPT? Yes, Shweta ma'am, you can make the presentations directly in it. अगर आपने अपने स्कूल के डेस्कटॉप में Microsoft PPT भी डिजाइन की है, so there is not much difference between PPT and Google Slides. Basically, PPT is a thing of Microsoft and slides are from Google. But अगर आपने अपने स्कूल के डेस्कटॉप में या किसी जगह या फोन में भी Microsoft 365 का पैकेज डाउनलोड करके अगर आपने प्रेजेंटेशन बनाया है PPT पर, तो उसको भी आप अपने Google ड्राइव पर क्लाउड में अपलोड कर सकते हैं और वो ऑटोमेटिकली Google स्लाइड में ओपन हो जाता है एडिट के लिए. The same thing. So either ways you can do it. The benefit of Google Slides जो हो जाता है कि अगर PPT हमारे डेस्कटॉप में है या हमारे फोन में है, तो वो सिर्फ एक फाइल है. हम जितनी बार एडिट करेंगे हमें बार बार वो फाइल शेयर करनी पड़ेगी. Google स्लाइड में एक चीज अच्छी है कि वो ऑनलाइन रहता है, आपको शेयर करने की जरूरत नहीं है. आपने एक बार उसको पूरी फाइल शेयर कर दी किसी के ईमेल पर, इट जस्ट स्टेज लाइक दिस. आप जितनी बार चाहे एडिट कीजिए, आपको बार बार शेयर करने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती. अब्दुल सर ने पूछा है, कैन वी इंसर्ट द डाउनलोडेड वीडियो इन गूगल स्लाइड? यस, यू कैन इंसर्ट अ डाउनलोडेड वीडियो ऑल्सो. अगर आपके वीडियो आपके डेस्कटॉप में है तो उस वीडियो को आपको गूगल ड्राइव में डालना पड़ेगा. फिर अपने गूगल ड्राइव से आप उसको लिंक कर सकते हैं. So that's one thing which is possible. Great questions coming. Yes, Abdul, thank you so much. Please feel free. We'll just wait for a minute or so more. अगर आपके माइंड में और भी क्वेश्चन है, आप चैट बॉक्स में भी कर सकते हैं, अपने आप को अनम्यूट करके भी पूछ सकते हैं. Please do ask.
हाँ sir, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Nowadays we are seeing this online worksheets, sir, which are readily available on the net. So using the Google Slide, can we make, as you said, if internet service is also not available, then still
Yes.
that offline work will be happening. So can we go ahead with making the online worksheets
Great.
of our own?
हाँ, so अगर आप लैपटॉप से काम कर रहे हैं और वो वर्कशीट आपके लैपटॉप पे डाउनलोडेड है,
जी।
ठीक है, और आपका गूगल स्लाइड आपके ब्राउजर में ओपन है, ठीक है, तो आप उस वर्कशीट को अपलोड कर सकते हैं। वो बट वो वर्कशीट अगर बच्चों को देखनी है तो अगर आप जूम पे दिखा रहे हैं तो दिखा सकते हैं, बट अगर आप चाहते हैं कि आपने वो वर्कशीट अपलोड कर दी गूगल स्लाइड पर और आपके बच्चों के पास उस स्लाइड का लिंक है तो वो देखें, तो उसके लिए बस इंटरनेट चाहिएगा।
Okay, so first of all, they should have the link of that Google slide.
Yes.
Then only that worksheet will be available for them.
Yes.
Otherwise, during my class, only I can show them.
Absolutely right, sir.
Understood, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Yes, Nana ma'am had a great question. How can we have it as a PDF? Yes, you can download this as a PDF. जैसे आपको मेरी अभी लिंक आपको मेरी स्क्रीन दिख रही होगी, तो जैसे फाइल वाला ऑप्शन है, हम फाइल के ऑप्शन में जाएंगे तो यहाँ पे ऑप्शन आता है डाउनलोड। डाउनलोड में आप इसको पीपीटी की तरह डाउनलोड करना चाहते हैं अपने डेस्कटॉप पे तो भी कर सकते हैं, आपको पीडीएफ की तरह डाउनलोड करना है तो भी कर सकते हैं। आपको पूरी फाइल डाउनलोड नहीं करनी है, लेकिन आपको सिर्फ इसमें से एक स्लाइड ही डाउनलोड करनी है, तो उसको भी आप इमेज के फॉर्म में डाउनलोड कर सकते हैं। सो दैट्स एब्सोल्युटली अप टू यू कि आप जेपेग, पीएनजी किसी भी फॉर्मेट में एज एन इमेज भी सिंगल, जैसे इसमें नियरली अराउंड 20 to 21 स्लाइड्स है, मुझे चाहिए कि मैं सिर्फ 17 नंबर इस स्लाइड को डाउनलोड करना चाहता हूं, तो मैं फाइल में जाके डाउनलोड में जाके इसको एज एन इमेज डाउनलोड कर सकता हूं। I hope that resolves the question, Nana ma'am, about the PDF as well. Great. Any other questions coming? If not, then maybe we can move towards the case, and please note down these questions also at the end. Also, अगर आपके mind में questions आते हैं, तो please share during the case as well. Yes, Steffi ma'am, over to you.
Thank you, Kushal sir. So now we'll take a case presentation from a school. We'll discuss what the problem has been with Google Slides, or what is the challenge around this digital tool that the school has faced or the teachers have faced. Then we'll have some space for clarifying questions to understand the problem better. And then at the end, we'll be discussing certain recommendations of how can we maybe solve the problem or have some suggestions which can cater to the problem that is there. And I would invite Chandrika Doria ma'am from Tejendra School to share the presentation here. It's basically on using Google Slides for online classes from phones. So this is the broad area of the topic which ma'am will be talking about. Yes, Chandrika ma'am. You can describe the problem for which you seek guidance from the audience over here.
Yeah. We teachers take online classes on our phones. Hence, we have to create and present Google Slides from our phones if we want to use. This is in our teaching learning methods. The struggle is with making presentation on the phone. On the small screen, where some of the basic edit functions are not easily visible, it becomes difficult to use this. Moreover, from phones, it is not possible to easily view slides notes while editing and also while presenting. Also, the animation and sound features are not shown properly in Google Slides while using phones.
This is the problem, and certain main factors that are leading to this problem. Ma'am will be talking about these as well.
Two, inconvenience of creating and using slides on phone screen to prepare presentation for online classes. Lack of understanding on how to effectively use features of Google Slides that are favorable on phones.
So we have understood the problem. The problem is somewhere around using Google Slides on the phone, because phone se usually online class liye jate hain. And we'll see what are certain actions that the teachers have taken towards this problem. Certain actions that they've already done, and then we can think of more actions or suggest them other things that are there. Yes, ma'am.
Use the Google slide only show pictures around the subject topic instead of having to entire lesson plans presented on slides. Instead of Google Slide, use textbook PDF while screen sharing during online classes.
These are certain actions that teachers have done because of the slides function that are there in the phone. Any clarifying questions that the audience has to understand the problem better? Thank you, Chantika ma'am. If not, then we can go to the third part around recommendations, and the audience or participants can share anything that they have done in their schools around using Google Slides for online classes. How have they managed it using phones? How have they managed creating those presentations? So any teacher who has already used Google Slides in their schools, आपका अगर experience आप share कर सकते हो? Kushal, if you have any recommendations over here of what can be done.
Yeah, so definitely I can share one of the points. So one is कि जो PDFs है, PDFs को हम live share तो कर ही सकते हैं, अगर वो जो PDF नहीं, sorry, for the textbooks जो मैंने कहा, right? So अगर वो government textbooks है तो government textbooks की online copies आपको मिलेगी PDF, आप उसमें से भी snapshot निकाल कर basically इसके अंदर डाल सकते हैं. So that's a good way to actually use the digital resource of it. जैसे हमारे स्कूल्स में हम लोग NCERT बुक्स काफी यूज करते हैं, बिकॉज NCERT के बुक्स की PDF कॉपी NCERT की वेबसाइट्स पर होती है. So in that case, taking snapshot of textbooks from that, you can use it. Or if that is not possible, अगर आपके स्कूल में जो टेक्स्ट बुक्स यूज हो रही है उनकी डिजिटल कॉपीज नहीं है फॉर एग्जांपल, देन मे बी लाइक पूरी स्क्रीन शेयर करेंगे तो वो पूरा जो रेजोल्यूशन और जो पिक्सल है वो कभी हेजी होगा, कभी फोकस्ड होगा, काफी उसमें चैलेंज होगा. Then maybe with your phone, आप उस पर्टिकुलर पैराग्राफ या पर्टिकुलर सेक्शंस या पिक्चर्स का भी फोन से क्लिक कर सकते हैं और अपने फोन से ही फिर आप उसी गूगल स्लाइड में डाल सकते हैं. So you can directly put the pictures which are taken on your phone to the Google slide if you have created. तो वो एक ऑप्शन है. सेकेंड ऑप्शन कि अगर ऑनलाइन PDF नहीं अवेलेबल है, then taking pictures from the textbook basically and then uploading them in the Google slide. So that way also you can make it visual.
So one of the main problems that they shared is that all the teachers are using phones for their online classes, and if they're using Google Slides, they will have to create those presentations on their phones itself. चंद्रिका मैम, आपको शेयर करना है एग्जैक्टली कि फोन के साथ क्या दिक्कत आती है जब आप प्रेजेंटेशन वहाँ क्रिएट कर रहे हो. As mentioned in the presentation, because the screen does not get all the toolbar functions of Google Slides in the phone, it gets difficult to actually use, create, share, unable to see the notes also which are added while presenting.
So अगर चंद्रिका में आप शेयर कर सके कि कौन सा आप टूल यूज कर रहे थे, कौन गूगल स्लाइड से टूल बार में से कौन सा फंक्शन या फीचर यूज कर रहे थे जो कि डेस्कटॉप पर अवेलेबल है आपके उसके लिए लेकिन इसमें नहीं है. फॉर एग्जांपल अगर आप देख लीजिए.
यस, हाँ, तो स्मार्ट आर्ट जो एक वो है, ये माइक्रोसॉफ्ट ऑफिस जो हम यूज करते हैं, माइक्रोसॉफ्ट ऑफिस प्रेजेंटेशन, उसमें अवेलेबल है. बट जब उसमें मैंने गूगल स्लाइड में मैंने उसे कन्वर्ट किया तो स्मार्ट आर्ट है वो गूगल स्लाइड्स में शो नहीं कर रहा था फोन में. फोन में नहीं शो कर रहा था एक्चुअली। तो मुझे वहां पर दिक्कत आई कि बच्चों को मुझे वो स्मार्ट आर्ट दिखाना था जो मैंने बनाया था, तो मुझे वो दिखाना था बच्चों को, बट इसमें फोन में वो दिखा ही नहीं रहा था।
दिखा नहीं रहा था।
हाँ,
That's true.
तो फिर
That's
मुझे
true.
हाँ तो फिर मुझे उससे फिर दोबारा से कुछ अलग तरीके से फिर बनाकर और फिर बच्चे के सामने प्रेजेंट करना पड़ा। स्मार्ट आर्ट इसमें नहीं दिखा रहा है। प्लस एनिमेशन भी जो है वो जैसे हम डेस्कटॉप में जिस तरह से एनिमेशन देते हैं वो सेम एनिमेशन फोन से हम नहीं दिखा सकते हैं बच्चों को।
राइट। हाँ, अगर ये दोनों चीज मैं डेफिनेटली मान सकता हूँ, क्योंकि जो स्मार्ट जितने डिटेल ज्यादा स्मार्ट आर्ट्स माइक्रोसॉफ्ट पीपीटी में अवेलेबल है, उतने ज्यादा स्मार्ट आर्ट्स रेडी में गूगल स्लाइड पर नहीं है फिलहाल के लिए। इनफैक्ट वाइस वर्सा इज ट्रू। सो अगर आप पीपीटी से गूगल स्लाइड में जाना चाहेंगे तो वो स्मार्ट आर्ट और एनिमेशंस नहीं जाते हैं, लेकिन अगर हम गूगल स्लाइड से पीपीटी में आते हैं, गूगल स्लाइड में कोई फ्लो चार्ट या कोई स्मार्ट आर्ट आपने डिजाइन किया हुआ है, उसको फिर आप डाउनलोड करते हैं अगर आप पीपीटी फॉर्म में, तो वो फ्लो चार्ट्स और वो एनिमेशंस दोनों सही आते हैं।
Thank you for clarifying.
Ma'am, can I ask a clarifying question? I wanted to understand which subject you teach through this tool, Chandrika ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. I'm teaching SS social science subject.
And which class?
Standard 10th.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other thoughts? If any of the participants, we are good 45, 48 members among teachers and school members today. So if anyone who would have used Google Slide also in any way would like to share their experience.
So I wanted to ask a few more questions,
Yes.
not only to Chandrika ma'am, but to others as well, if they want to answer. With respect to the use of Google Slides only. So first is that, ma'am, you said you teach social science and you were trying to use Google Slides for that. I wanted to ask, which other subjects do you think can be taught using Google Slides in an effective way, you know? Because it sometimes happens that you want to show some flowchart, etc., as Kushal had mentioned in the presentation. And sometimes you want to show more visual, pictures, etc. So which tool do you think is most effective when it comes to teaching certain subjects? So let's like anyone would like to answer that. Which tool do you prefer for teaching which subject? And specifically, if it comes to Google Slides, which subject do you think is best suited? चंद्रिका मैम, आप बताना चाहेंगे थोड़ा सा इसके बारे में कि आपको कौन सा टूल ज्यादा बेहतर लगता है when it comes to teaching social science? Is it Google Slides only, or do you also use videos, etc.?
एक्चुअली मैम मैं माइक्रोसॉफ्ट ऑफिस प्रेजेंटेशन ज़्यादा प्रीफर वो यूज़ करती हूँ। मैं एक्चुअली सिर्फ बच्चों को ये जो मैंने बनाई हुई है पीपीटी को मुझे पीडीएफ फॉर्म में अवेलेबल करवाना है, तो इसलिए फिर मैं उसे गूगल स्लाइड में कन्वर्ट करके उसके बाद मैं उसे पीडीएफ फॉर्म में डाउनलोड करके फिर बच्चों को वो अवेलेबल करवाती पीडीएफ फॉर्म में। पीपीटी टू पीडीएफ में कन्वर्ट करने के लिए यूज़ करती हूँ गूगल स्लाइड्स।
So considering that slides को create करना मुश्किल है on the phones, one recommendation would be that schools usually have desktops, in their computer labs. So maybe creating those plans, creating the entire presentation offline can be done in schools on the desktop, and then using it into the class, maybe through the phone, can then be presented where the entire PPT is already been set up and created.
Would anyone else want to share something, some recommendations for ma'am? I'm sure अभी सर ने mention किया था कि कैसे आप use करते हैं Google Slides को, कैसे आप best use करते हैं. So would anyone else want to share how can we best help Chandrika ma'am in presenting, content to the children using Google Slides? So in Echo, as we know, we generally start with case presentation, which is a challenge or a problem, and after that we kind of understand the case better, and towards the end we come to recommendation. So in that we invite everyone to share their recommendations or suggestions they have based on the experiences they've had. ऐसा हो सकता है कि आप में से कई टीचर्स ने Google Slides use किए होंगे for teaching and are using very efficiently so far. So अगर आप कुछ share करना चाहते हैं अपना experience, तो please feel free to unmute, or you can also add in the chat. Just to know, just curious, how many teachers are using Google Slides? Can you show, using the reaction button, just raise hand or something, show a thumbs up or raise hand.
Or you may just write on the chat box, yes, you're using. No, you haven't used Google Slides for classrooms. Divya ma'am is going to try. Lavina ma'am hasn't used yet. Chandrika ma'am has raised her hand, she has used. Waiting for a few more responses to know the audience.
Okay.
So with that, coming to a question around, today we saw a lot of features around Google Slides. We also saw how one of the schools are using them in their schools. After knowing the features, are you interested to learn more about how to use Google Slides? What are those features? How do you go and actually create a presentation on Google Slides for the classroom? You can use the chat box, type a yes if you are interested to learn more. If you can see that whichever subject, whichever class you are teaching right now, उसमें slides का introduction for the class will be better, कि बच्चे ज़्यादा पढ़ पाएंगे, अच्छे से पढ़ पाएंगे. You can write a yes if you're interested to learn the how, कि किस तरीके से मैं बना सकती हूँ class के लिए. You can come on the chat box. Great, a lot of responses telling that yes, we want to learn how slides are actually created. So to learn this, do you want support from Samit Shala to learn and practice Google Slides? हमें ये सीखना तो है. There are different ways to actually go and learn कि Google Slides पे presentation कैसे create करते हैं. So do we want any support from Samit Shala कि हमें ये कैसे बनाना है, वो सीखना है, उसको practice भी करना है हमारे class के लिए? You can type a yes, that yes, we need support from Samit Shala. So I can see the same teachers जिन्होंने interest दिखाया था are also writing yes. A lot of teachers haven't used but want to try it right now and want to practically create and work on it. Great. So all those who typed yes in the chat box, please share your name and your school's name in the chat box so that we are aware of which teachers had shown interest and which schools do they belong to, so that we also can follow up with the school, and आप भी आपके school management, school principal से बात कर सकती हो कि this is what we got to know and we want to learn more about it for our online classes or even offline classes. आपका name and school का name. So I can say a lot of teachers from CG school have shown interest. Great. So between these sessions, ये जो alternate weeks में sessions हो रहे हैं, उसके बीच में हम even schools के साथ follow up रखेंगे to see कि ये जो awareness program हो रही है, awareness के बाद practically हम कहाँ पे से use कर सकते हैं, उस तरीके का support किस तरीके से हम school के लिए build कर सकते हैं. Okay, so I can see that Dr. CG school is one school that has mentioned this, that they want to practically learn this and want support for this. Waiting if there's any other school that is also showing interest. This is basically after the session, in some way wanting to know more about the features and steps and practicing. We'll wait for 30 more seconds for any other teachers and other school members to mention. Munip sir, if you could also write the school name so that I can mention your school's name as well on the screen.
Yes, ma'am. I am sending.
Okay, so even type in Jubilee School has shown interest. After building basic awareness around Google Slides, want to understand more about how as a teacher this can be used. Great. So this was all about today's session around Google Slides, certain basic awareness that we built. We are all aware that our next session is around Google Jamboard, that is on 23rd of September. So how many of us know what is Google Jamboard exactly? Thank you for all the teachers who've responded till now. The next question here is कि हमें Google Jamboard क्या है वो पता है? If yes, that yes we have heard about it or used it, you can write a yes. If this is something जो आज पहली बार हम देख रहे हैं कि Google Jamboard ऐसा भी कोई tool है, you can maybe write a no. I can say a lot of no's. Great. So आपके सामने जो स्क्रीन दिखाई दे रही है जहाँ पे इसके पहले अभी मैंने दोनों स्कूल के नेम्स स्टिकी नोट पे ऐड किए, जो टेक्स्ट दिखाई दे रहा है, जो इसके पहले फोटोज इमेजेस ऐड किए हुए थे, ये सारी चीजें आपको जो दिखाई दे रही है दैट इज ऑन Jamboard, गूगल Jamboard, जहाँ पे रिकमेंडेशंस को मैंने टाइप किया था. Right? While sharing the screen, did these things and questions were already typed and kept for display. So our next session is around Google Jamboard. Google Jamboard is nothing else but it is actually a whiteboard from Google. जो classroom में black board, green boards होते हैं, Zoom पे भी whiteboard एक जो simple होता है, वैसे ही Google Jamboard is a whiteboard from Google. And there are different features. आप toolbar पूरा देख सकते हो. We'll be discussing more about all these things in the next training program. So this was just for all of you to understand Google Jamboard कैसा है. I would also recommend all teachers here that next session के पहले आप थोड़ा सा explore करके आओ कि Google Jamboard में क्या होता है, so that then we can come together and solve queries कि हम जब use कर रहे थे ये चीजों की दिक्कत है, because this platform is more around coming together and helping each other out. So it will be great अगर हम before the next session at least in a week at least once Google Jamboard it is a Google tool, so जैसे हम forms के लिए या slides के लिए जिस तरीके से जाते हैं we can simply go there and search for Google Jamboard online and explore certain things. कि हमें क्लास में कोई एक दिन बोर्ड पे सिखाना है, so screen share करके क्या क्या चीजें हो रही है उस पर. So would love to have lots of queries next session to discuss all these things.
Great. Thank you, Steffi ma'am. We will share now in the chat box a short feedback form. हमारे पहले feedback form में काफी questions थे, तो हमने काफी questions को reduce कर दिया है. And I'm sharing with you a fresh feedback form for today in the chat box. It will not take you more than 2 minutes. If you can help us with the feedback, and we can, and please do mention in it कोई चीज जो आप चाहेंगे और इस सेशंस में कवर होना, जो आपके क्वेरीज के अराउंड हो, तो क्वेरीज भी अगर आप उसमें मेंशन कर सके. वी ट्राई टू स्टडी दोस क्वेरीज आफ्टर एवरी सेशन जब आपके सबके फीडबैक आ जाते हैं, बिकॉज तभी हम इन सेशंस को और बढ़िया तरीके से आपके लिए प्रिपेयर कर सकते हैं. So please do click on the link that has been given in the chat box और वो आपको फीडबैक फॉर्म की तरफ ले जाएगा.
Please let us know if the feedback form is working for all. If not,
Yes.
please let us know.
I hope सबके फीडबैक फॉर्म ओपन हो पा रहे हैं. जैसे अजीज मैम ने शेयर किया कि अगर किसी को कोई चैलेंज आ रहा हो, दिव्या मैम अगर आप शेयर कर सके कि क्या चैलेंज आ रहा है फॉर्म ओपन करने में.
सर लिंक पे क्लिक किया लेकिन नथिंग इज कमिंग. Can you send the link again? I will
Yes.
try.
We'll share the link again. Yes, I've shared the link again, everyone. दिव्या मैम एक बार रिफ्रेश करके देखिएगा उसमें ओपन करने में अगर ऐसा कोई चैलेंज हो रहा है.
सर ओपन हो गया है.
ओके ग्रेट ग्रेट, थैंक यू. थैंक यू निशा मैम. निशा मैम ने कंफर्म कर दिया है कि उन्होंने भर दिया है. अगर आपने भर दिया हो तो इधर थम्स अप दिखा सकते हैं या चैट में डाल सकते हैं एवरीवन. सेशन के बाद विद इन 48 आवर्स बाय सैटरडे लेटेस्ट आपके साथ इसका जो हमने प्रेजेंटेशन यूज किया है और इस प्रेजेंटेशन की रिकॉर्डिंग, लास्ट टाइम हमने सबको एक ईमेल भेजा था. आई होप एवरीवन वुड हैव रिसीव्ड द ईमेल. आप सबको ईमेल मिल गया होगा पिछले वाला.
Yes sir.
राइट. सो उसमें एक स्प्रेडशीट हमने क्रिएट की है. उस स्प्रेडशीट के अंदर हम सारे रिसोर्सेज पेस्ट करते जा रहे हैं ताकि आपको अलग अलग ईमेल में कहीं ढूंढना ना पड़े. एक ही स्प्रेडशीट में आप हर चीज को आपको मिल सकती है. सो इसके भी रिसोर्सेज सारे उसी स्प्रेडशीट में पेस्ट कर देंगे बाय सैटरडे एंड वी विल अपडेट यू बाय ईमेल के इन सबको पेस्ट कर दिया है. एंड जैसे स्टेफी मैम ने बताया कि हमारा नेक्स्ट सेशन 23 सितंबर को है. सो वी विल लुक फॉरवर्ड टू लर्निंग अबाउट जैमबोर्ड. उसके पहले जो गूगल स्लाइड आज हमने किया है उसको प्रैक्टिस जरूर कीजिएगा. वी विल गो थ्रू योर क्वेरीज जो आपने लिखी है और जो काफी लोगों ने बताया भी है, शेयर किया नीड कि आपको हेल्प चाहिए गूगल स्लाइड को इम्प्लीमेंट करने में, तो वी विल रीच आउट टू दोस स्कूल्स टू सी हाउ वी कैन हेल्प इन द नेक्स्ट 2 वीक्स आल्सो, स्मॉल ग्रुप्स में, या कैसे आपको हेल्प कर सके इसको आपकी तरफ एक छोटा इम्प्लीमेंटेशन लेवल पर, ताकि उसमें से कोई क्वेरीज आए तो उसमें से भी हम सब एक साथ सीख सकें चीजों को। ग्रेट, थैंक यू सो मच एवरीवन, एंड थैंक यू फॉर कंफर्मिंग ऑन द चैट बॉक्स आल्सो। काफी लोगों ने भर दिया है फीडबैक फॉर्म, दैट्स अमेजिंग। थैंक यू सैदा मैम। प्लीज डू रीच आउट, अगर आप सबके पास ईमेल आते ही हैं हमारे, अगर बीच में भी कोई चैलेंज आता है, जस्ट सिंपली राइट द ईमेल बैक और रिप्लाई बैक, वी विल बी हैप्पी टू कनेक्ट विथ यू सेपरेटली ऑन दैट एज वेल। वी कैन स्लॉट आउट अ टाइम इन द वीक स्कूल वाइज, और हम उसमें क्वेरीज सॉल्व कर सकते हैं।
थैंक यू सर।
इम्प्लीमेंटेशन लेवल पर हो तो
थैंक्स अ लॉट।
यस यस।
Thank you all of you for the support.
Thank you Lavina ma'am, thank you so much. अगर फीडबैक फॉर्म किसी को भी कोई चैलेंज आ रहा हो भरने में, वी आर राइट हियर, प्लीज डू लेट अस नो। हमें 19 रिस्पॉन्सेज मिल गए हैं, दैट्स रियली अमेजिंग। लुक फॉरवर्ड टू मोर सच रिस्पॉन्सेज, अगर जितने लोग हैं अगर आप डाल सकें तो बहुत बढ़िया रहेगा।